Hey YouTube, I'm going to do something I haven't done before, which is a product review. TC Helicon was kind enough to send me one of their VOICELIVE 3 Extremes a while back, and they asked me if I liked it to talk about it a little bit with you, and so I thought I would do that. So first off, a little bit of history of me with this unit. I got it, I think, 5 years ago. TC Helicon sent it to me, and I was grateful, and I didn't have a lot of opportunities to use it though, because I really wasn't using it in my live acoustic sets. I just tried to keep those pretty minimal in terms of gear, and I didn't really have any way to travel with it, so I didn't really bring it with me when I did gigs out of town. But what I did do with it was I had an opportunity to sing some gigs with Barry Goudreau and Sib Hashian, original former members of Boston, doing Boston music, and so I thought that was a good opportunity to play, doing it with a full band, to use the VOICELIVE 3 as a way to create some of the original effects that you hear on the Boston albums in terms of just simple things like delay and doubling. And what this thing does really well is create a pretty convincing doubling effect. And I tweaked it and made my own presets, and I had presets for each song, and so that was my original use of it. Unfortunately, it didn't really survive all of the trips I made with it. I had it in my suitcase, and it was in just the little sort of mildly padded carrying case that TC Helicon has for it. And on one of the trips it kind of got broken, and so it kind of died on me, and so for a while I wasn't using it. But then Sweetwater was kind enough to send me a replacement, and so now I have a working unit again, and so I've had a chance to use it with my band. And when they sent me the unit, here it is again, they also sent me this nice SKB case for it. I don't know if you can see it. It's a padded case, and apparently it's waterproof too. I haven't had the opportunity to test that, and I don't think I will. But this case has been done a much better job of protecting it, and so it's in better condition now, this new unit. And so what I've done is I actually have two bands that I'm in the Denver area. I have a Beatles cover band called Rubber Souls.
Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eyes. There beneath the blue suburban skies I sit and meanwhile.
And I have my own band, the Massé band.
It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do.
And so what I've gone and done is created presets for both of those situations. I've created presets for a bunch of specific Beatles songs, and then my band does we do classic rock covers, but mostly 80s and 90s. And so I've created a bunch of presets for 80s and 90s songs, and again mostly in the area of doubling, creating a doubling effect, and also specific delays that are timed to the tempos of specific songs. This thing does a lot though, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what it does, some of the stuff that I don't use, so you can know a little bit more about it. And then what I'll do is I'll give you some audio examples. I'll just play my guitar and sing along with it, and just give you a few seconds of a bunch of different songs, and just to demonstrate some of my presets so you can kind of hear it in action. But it does a lot of things. It's got one of the nice things it has is this hit button right here. And what the hit button does is it kind of allows you to trigger different effects all in a group. And so, like, if there's a certain part of the song where you need a certain effect, you can hit the hit button, and it'll turn on multiple things at once, and you can kind of assign which things come on when you hit the hit button and which ones don't. But that's one of the cool things I like about it. And also, it's got a looper, which I've never used. And it's got it can do harmonies and pitch correction, and I haven't messed with those either. But the harmonizer, one of the cool things about it is that, and there's a lot of different pedals that do this, but this is one of them. Is where if you plug in your guitar to it, it will you can tell it kind of how to harmonize, like a third above or third below, or kind of that kind of thing. You can kind of customize it for the song, but it will follow the chord changes that it senses from your guitar. And so you can tell it what key you're in, but you can also just literally play chords, and it will take its cues from those chords that you're playing in terms of what harmonies it's going to provide you, which is really pretty cool. And there's also a lot of guitar effects in here, and you can just run this as a guitar processor as well, which I don't do. but yeah, like I said, this thing is pretty deep, and this is the VoiceLive 3 Extreme, which means it's like the most feature-rich version that they make, and they make other versions that don't have as many features. They make a lot of different, pedals that do some of the things that this does, but this does it all, which is pretty cool. But I will confess that I'm underutilizing it in many ways. Like I said, I don't really use it with my acoustic gigs, unless it's a local gig, because then I can just travel with it pretty easily. But when I do my traveling gigs, I just basically have a suitcase full of gear plus whatever I can fit in my backpack plus my guitar, and I just don't really have room for this, so I don't bring it with me. But it would be fun to have with me because the doubling effect is really cool. And some of the other things that it does. It's got this thing called the U mod, which is sort of a modulation effect, and it's got a doubler, and I use those in conjunction with each other to create the doubling effects that I use, and I kind of dial it in specifically for each song. And the delays are good too. It's got a lot of different options with delays where you can obviously set the timing and the style of the delay, and the reverbs are good too. I don't know that the reverbs are great, but they're good. And I usually, it's nice to be able to just bring this with me to a gig and have my own sound kind of preset for me, and I don't have to worry about the engineer. I don't have to tell him to touch anything other than maybe some EQ and compression. But most of what I need is handled in this box, and so it's just kind of like, it gives me a consistent sound across all of my gigs with my band, which is really kind of cool. What I like to do with it is, it's got dry and wet outputs, and so if I'm recording a gig, I like to record it dry and wet, just to kind of give me the maximum flexibility in case I want to not use these effects on a recording, or if I do want to use the effects, it just gives me the option of having both available. And also I can control how much of the effects I hear in my in-ear monitors. I can mix in the dry versus the wet if I don't want too much of the effects in my own ears. Sometimes singing with reverb and such is a little bit distracting if you're hearing it in your ears, and so sometimes it's nice to just have that dry option available. You can tell it what kind of mic you're using. So if you're using a dynamic mic or versus a condenser mic, it'll give you, can provide fan power to the condenser, which is nice. It's got other effects like stutter and synth, so you can get pretty creative with the sounds you make out of this, and it can be kind of just a creative tool on its own, which is kind of nice. Like I said, this is the extreme version, so it's pretty feature rich, and I've barely even scratched the surface of what this thing can do. I did want to say a word about Sweetwater though. I was really grateful that they were willing to basically send me a free replacement of this once mine broke, and I've been a Sweetwater customer for probably almost 20 years, long time. And Sweetwater is great. Their prices are competitive with anybody online that you're shopping with, but the advantage to buying from Sweetwater is that they really know what they're doing. They have salespeople. My salesperson is Ted Hunter, and it's kind of cool because I actually went to college with Ted, and then found out later he moved to Indiana to work at Sweetwater. Where are they in Indiana? Yeah, they're in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Oh, that's right. They have a huge headquarters there, and I'd love to go there sometime because they've got a bunch of cool stuff there. But yeah, their salespeople are super knowledgeable, and they can tell you all the pros and cons. If you're trying to make a decision about what you need for a certain thing, you can just tell them what you need, and they'll tell you what the options are and kind of give you the best, the pros and cons of each option available. But the other nice thing is that they have tech support. So if you buy something from them, you can call them, and they have tech support people that are dedicated that actually can help you work through issues you've had with different things. I used to need their tech support a lot more than I have lately, but it was something that I definitely relied on early on when I was getting into computer recording and such. Just finding out what was compatible with what, and if I was having issues, they were always kind enough to help me sort through things. And yeah, so they have really close relationships with the manufacturers and vendors as well. So they can put you in touch with the company directly if they need to. But yeah, I think Sweetwater is a great company, and they're worthy of your support. Like I said, their pricing is competitive. If something is available on Amazon, they've got it too, and they probably have it at least at a similar price, if not the same price, or sometimes cheaper. And so it's always worth comparing and realizing that when you buy something from Sweetwater, you're getting more than just the product itself. You're getting the security of knowing that they're going to be there to help you if you need it. So, but yeah, they didn't tell me to say any of that. That's just coming from my personal experience. But I really do appreciate Sweetwater and try to give them my business any chance I can. So let me. That's enough of me talking about this thing. Let me demonstrate to you some of my presets, so you can hear it in action, and let me know what you think. So put some notes in the comments, and yeah, let me know what you think.
Josie's on a vacation far away. Come around and talk it over. So many things that I wanna say. You know I like my girls a little bit older. I just wanna use your love tonight. Day is night in New York City. Smoke like water runs inside. Still idle trees to pity every living thing that's died. Now if you're feeling kinda low about the dues you've been paying, future's coming much too slow, and you wanna run but somehow you just keep on staying. Can't decide on which way to go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from another. You've been messing around. They say you got a boyfriend. You're out late every weekend. They're talking about you and it's bringing me down. Roll up for the magical mystery tour. Step right this way. I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade. And though the news was rather sad, well, I just had to laugh. I am he as you are, he as you are, me, and we are all together. See how they run like pigs from a gun, see how they fly. I'm crying. All I can say is that my life is pretty plain. I like watching the puddles gather rain, and all I can do is just pour some tea for two and speak my point of view, but it's not sane. I walk along the avenue. I never thought I'd meet a girl like you. Meet a girl like you. Hey, 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 hey. Won't you come see about me? I'll be alone, dancing, you know it, baby. Now I wind up staring at an empty glass. 'cause it's so easy to say that you'll forget your past. They don't write them like that anymore. They just don't write them like that anymore. Dark side's coming down, nothing is real. She'll never know just how I feel. From out of the shadow she walks like a dream. Made me feel crazy, made me feel so mean.